distinguished panelists, esteemed delegates, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on driving innovation and discovery for teaching of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I'll be concentrating on science and mathematics. In fact, I'm not very comfortable without PowerPoint, but after listening to my friend Krish Shrikant yesterday, I decided, and I was not very much sure about the time, because once you prepare a PowerPoint, you have to budget your time properly and you have to manage time properly according to the slides which you have prepared. And so I thought that I'll speak from my heart, what comes from my heart. That's a lesson I've learned from Shrikant. And you know, at times, LCD, the LCD projector, the exact expansion is liquid crystal display. But at times it becomes likely cause for delay, as you might have seen. So I better go without this device. And after listening to so much learned presentations, I'd like to be a little bit down to earth, and I'll be talking only from real life examples. Now let me start with an incident which happened in the month of April 1986, when I was teaching at a college in Kolkata, Scottish Church College. 1986, you would be remembering, that was the year when Halley's Comet had come to the horizon. It has a periodicity of 75 to 76 years. I know of a person, of course he is no more, who has seen Halley's Comet twice, in 1910 and in 1986. And in 1910, the tail of the comet was towards the brighter side, and it was a cosmic spectacle, which it was not in 1986. You need to have a telescope to have a proper view. So what I did prior to the particular day on which it was supposed to come to the best possible threshold of viewing, well, I took a laboratory telescope. Basically, I'm a student of physics, and I was teaching physics at Scottish Church College. So I took a laboratory telescope and somehow managed it, and I thought that I'll take that to a place called Diamond Harbour in West Bengal, near Kolkata, from where you can get a good view. And then one of our laboratory assistants, Jagadish Da, I remember him, he could adjust any instrument much better than any teacher. He told that, sir, there is a big telescope, 8-inch telescope lying at the store above the principal's office. Why don't you take that? I went there, I saw the telescope is there. I got it cleaned of the fungus, and it was excellent. If anybody is aware about the geography of Calcutta, from the roof of Scottish Church College, you can view the birds excrete on this Howrah Bridge, Rabindra Setu, clearly. Birds excrete on Howrah Bridge. And then I just went to the principal to seek permission. He said that it's a costly device, you cannot take it to Diamond Harbour. It was lying unused in the store. I cleaned it of fungus, and what can be a better occasion to take the telescope for viewing the Halley's Comet, which comes after 75 years. You know, Mark Twain was born when Halley's Comet was on the horizon, and he came to know when he became about 12 to 13 years old. And then he took a vow that let me die. When he came to know that the periodicity is 75 to 76 years, let me also die when Halley's Comet comes to the horizon. And it indeed happened that with Mark Twain. So what can be a better occasion? No, he said that I'll have to take permission of the governing body, and the governing body could not meet during that time, and ultimately I could not take that telescope. However, I had a consolation. I had good relation with the Positional Astronomy Center, and I took my students along, and they got a good view of Halley's Comet. But the story doesn't end there. A few days later, one of the teachers who got a deputation position at some other institutions had to take permission. And this permission had to be routed again through the governing body, and the governing body did not meet, but her permission could be obtained by circulation among the governing body members. I didn't know about this kind of administrative norms like Professor Roy was mentioning. So I wondered that why such a step could not be taken for taking permission for Halley's Comet, to take the telescope for viewing the Halley's Comet. So this is the attitude. We have an instrument, we don't use it. And we always complain about lack of infrastructure. See, a lot of physics, yesterday after seeing Shrikant, see, if you do it like this, it topples. And if you give a spin at the bottom remains at bottom, the top remains at top. Practice practice it a few times. I was a reasonably good fielder when I used to play cricket, but try it with a stainless steel glass, not with this tumbler. But it explains a very interesting phenomena. You are giving an axis, and the angular momentum remains conserved. Whatever atmospheric disturbance takes place does not create a sufficient enough torque of magnitude high enough to distort the axis of the angular momentum. And that is happening in the entire cosmos. The Earth spins around its axis. Otherwise, the orbital stability could not be maintained, like the electron also spins in its orbit. So you can pick up simple things and explain things rather than complain about the lack of infrastructure. This is one of the messages. The second incident which I would refer to, like Professor Roy was mentioning that he walks into that class 12 class. So while making assessment about infrastructure for our diploma in primary education, which is quite a pet program in IGNOU, I had to go to several elementary schools. And in one such school, the mathematics teacher was taking a lesson of class 4 students on measurement of length by metric system. So I asked this teacher, what is the status of your student? He said that, well, they're all prepared. I'm going to take a test tomorrow, so I'm just having a revision. So I asked him, I asked the students that, can you tell me the relation between a meter and a kilometer? All hands got raised up and everybody answered perfectly. 1,000 meter is equal to 1 kilometer. Likewise, 100 centimeter is equal to 1 meter. Now that school was situated in the outskirts of a town, and I was interested to know that how they commute day in and day out. And in course of asking that, I had to ask them that how far is your home from the school? Now no hands are getting raised up. A distance which they trade day in and day out. What is the length of the classroom? No hands are getting raised up. What is the length? How many centimeters is my pen? No hands are getting raised up. So then I asked them, do you know how much is a meter? With great difficulty, somebody said 1 meter is this much, somebody said 1 meter is that much, somebody said 1 meter is that much. So I asked the teacher, how is that? They know the conversion factors to that much of exactitude, but they do not know how much is a meter. No, sir, the headmaster did not provide me with a meter scale, was his excuse. Now, could he not have shown that 1 meter is this much? This can be 1 or 2 centimeters less or 1 or 2 centimeters more. How does that matter? So in order to drive innovation, in order to drive the discovery, well, you have to excite this kind of feeling in the students. I had a stint with Indian Institute of Science, the third incident which I'm talking about. And this may be an anecdote, but I think it has a significance. In fact, I was working at the Solar Energy Lab, and those who have gone to Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore would be knowing that it's adjacent to the Applied Mathematics building. And that was a time when the Applied Mathematics building was under renovation, and so the scholars, teachers of Applied Mathematics were asked to sit elsewhere for about 15, 20 days. Now, one of the scholars at the Applied Mathematics department, one Mr. Rajan, he had a friend at the Solar Energy Lab, Mr. Gunshekar. So he came and he was sitting at the Solar Energy Lab. And in Bengali we say, there is a proverb, Akamane Boka. If you are alone, then you are to be fooled, or we'll treat you as a fool. And Gunshekar would spare no occasion to leg pull Rajan. So one day it so happened, ma'am, your conversation is causing disturbance, please. So one day it so happened that somebody had left a black pen on Gunshekar's table. And it was customary at Indian Institute of Science to put up a notice. So Gunshekar first put up a notice that if anybody had lost a black pen at the Solar Energy Lab, then he or she should collect it from Mr. Gunshekar. And then his mischievous mind started playing. He said, Rajan being a mathematician, and mathematicians are up to generalization. They will start with n-body problem and then will make n equal to 1, n equal to 2, n equal to 3, whereas the physicist will start with 2-body problems, say Earth and Moon, and then go to 3-body problem, Earth, Moon, and Sun, like that. So he will generalize. So how he would have put the notice? So he would have said, first he would have removed the adjective black. If anybody had lost a pen at the Solar Energy Lab, then he or she should collect it from Mr. Gunshekar. And then he will also remove the word pen, because he will feel that writing pen is giving a lot of hint. So if anybody had lost anything at the Solar Energy Lab, he or she should collect it from Mr. Gunshekar. And then he will feel that Indian Institute of Science is such a big campus, there are so many administrative buildings, hostels, physics lab, chemistry lab, so on and so forth, and people may be losing things at any point in this Indian Institute of Science, but they will converge to solar energy lab and their work will get disturbed. So remove solar energy lab also. If anybody had lost anything anywhere, he or she should collect it from Mr. Gunsekar. And finally, he will have pity on his friend Mr. Gunsekar and would also leave him out of the fray and draft the notice as, if anybody had lost anything anywhere, he or she should collect it from anybody. Now, absolute generalization makes things meaningless. So we should start from familiar to unfamiliar, particular to general. And then I'm coming to the very crucial thing, which has been aptly mentioned by the distinguished panelists earlier, about rote learning. See, today, just now you go to Daryaganj, the book market, and you see the footpaths and also the common markets, even under the nose of IGNOU. Well, there will be shops which are selling key books, answers to questions which had appeared in last 10 years examination. Those are very useful books. But those are useful books for scoring marks. I don't mind having those books. And those are teaching you answering skills. And what we end up teaching students are answering skills. Mr. X is known as a very good teacher because he has answers to the questions which had appeared in the last 10 years. And he will not part with those answers with students other than who are under his control, other than those who are paying him. But we don't teach questioning skills. I was listening to Professor, Blue Ocean Strategy. C.V. Raman had asked this question, why is the ocean blue? Einstein used to ask question that we are traveling in two vehicles and they are moving parallelly with the same speed, and then one appears to be stationary with reference to another. Now, if like this, if I go on increasing my speed and I attain the speed of light, will light become stationary? Now, his teachers would not be able to answer his question, but would not encourage him. His father had taken him to the principal of Geopold Gymnasium, the second school which he has attended, and asked him that, sir, kindly guide my student, give him some counseling. And do you know what was the assessment of the principal? He said that your child does not have any future. Think of the assessment of the principal about a person who came to be known as the man of the century. So we should be teaching questioning skills. Isidore Rabi, who became the nuclear physicist, who got the Nobel Prize in the 1944, whenever he used to return home, his mother will ask that, boy, have you asked a good question today? And asking question, that is development of scientific temper, is not only the monopoly of the scientists. Like if you have been to Shantiniketan, the main museum, Rabindra Bhavan, it has an Annexe library. And these days, all the books which were written